Okay. As was reported, we made a move last night on the coordinator spot with Chip, and we talked it through, and this was a decision that we made for the organization that we had to do. At this time, Greg Olson is working to put together this game plan, and we're getting going. He's going to be the play caller, and we haven't finalized the workings of anything past that at this point, but our guys are game planning and getting after it right now. He's going to take over the play calling, and he's got years of experience. He's been a coordinator for 13 years in the league, and we've been together before. He knows me inside and out, and I think it's a really fortunate opportunity that we have a guy that has that much background to step into this role. Yeah, I hate that we had to do this at this time. This is just uncharted waters, basically, but. We've worked for a long time trying to come together and communicate and trying to get so it fits the style of play that we want to play with, and we didn't quite get it done, and I could feel it coming and I was working at it, and Chip was working at it, and he's been a phenomenal coach, and his past is extraordinary of all the things he's accomplished. But at this time, I just felt like we needed to take the next step, and we were kind of staying the same, and so it wasn't good enough for our fans and for our guys, and so that's why we made the move. But we need to run the ball better, and we need to have the running game available to us. I think I probably mentioned that last week. When you need it, short yardage, red zone, goal line, fourth quarter, all of those times that have historically been when you need to call on it. And then you have to orchestrate your game so that it fits that. And that's why the play passes are so important, and the actions are so important, and keeping the quarterback clean and minimizing the distances on third down. All of those things are all fit together. So I've been doing it this way for a lot of years, and it's a winning formula for if you play good defense and you kick the ball well. And so we're trying to get that, and we just have not captured it. And so this is what this move is about.
Well, there it is, Eric. Official, semi-official. Greg Olson is now going to be the offensive play caller.
Yeah.
And I want to start off with a little bit of a quiz for you here. I don't know how many of these names you can get. I got to look them up myself.
Right.
Greg Olson now is going to become the 8th offensive play caller for the Raiders since October of 2021.
Wow. The 8th?
The 8th. So I'll start off. Since October 2021, John Gruden.
Of course, Grew.
Who replaced him? Trick question.
Olson.
Greg Olson.
Yeah.
Greg Olson. Then you had Josh McDaniels, Bo Hardigree, Luke Getsy, Scott Turner, Chip Kelly, and now Greg Olson.
Back to Olson.
And the interesting thing about Greg Olson is this is going to be his third time calling offensive plays because he had a previous stint under Dennis Allen and then the interim coach at the time, Tony Sperano in 2013-2014. So just as a former player, when you have this much turnover on the play calling side of things, I mean, what does that do to a player?
Well, it would be different if the players and quarterbacks, linemen were the same, obviously. So the fan base obviously has been on the long haul, and they know these guys. And hopefully we can get some consistency with the type of plays we are calling and more positive results. I think this situation is one of those where you give a person like Chip so much, respect. And you give them a long rope. Like, hey, usually in a job interview, you come and you present, hey, here's what I've done in the past. Here's how I think I can help your football team. Sometimes in the league, based on what you have done, you don't really have to provide that presentation.
Right.
And obviously, it wasn't something that everyone could connect to. And you weren't able to maybe evaluate some of the younger players who are hopefully going to be a part of this organization. So there's a lot of things going on here. I think, obviously Chip is the person who was relieved of his duties. A lot of stuff going on here that this organization needs to get right in a hurry.
What I thought was interesting also when Pete Carroll was talking was he said when it went to the offensive play calling, he deferred a lot to Chip because of what you were just talking
Yes.
about, the way he presented himself,
Yes.
the resume that he's had, whether it was in college or the NFL as a head coach, as a play caller, as an OC, and it just wasn't working out. From your perspective, watching these games as a Hall of Famer, how much of what went wrong is not necessarily the scheme or the play calling, but the personnel he had at his disposal?
Yeah, and maybe because Chip had so much success at the college level, sometimes that doesn't translate on the pro level. But because of Pete and his ability to be able to come from college and be super successful and then get to the league, maybe he looked at that with like the lenses a little bit blurred, right?
Yeah.
And not given, Chip, like, hey, I know you were successful at this place, but this is not Ohio State.
Yeah.
Everyone here has amazing players. How are you going to put what we want to do front and center? Yeah. And so maybe that was a mistake in how he went about that process. And obviously it was because he relieved him of his duties. I think the next step is to make sure that you are who your past says you are. And for Pete, that's having a power run game, really relying on the defense and playing complementary football, really having the opportunity to have that running game so you can have play action passes.
Right.
And hopefully we're able to see that, because that's been the one thing. When we look at the next four we're playing football teams, you know exactly who they are. And when you look at us, offensively, really don't know who we are at this
Still
point.
looking for that identity.
Yes.
And that's the thing here, too, as well, is how much of this then lies at the feet, literally, of the offensive lineman, because you're coming off a game where Geno Smith is sacked 10 times, one off the franchise record set back in '86,
Right.
two off of the NFL record.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of this really kind of comes down to what the offensive line, because you could have the greatest play caller in the world,
Right.
but if your quarterback doesn't have any time to even look downfield, or your running back doesn't have a hole to run in and he's getting hit 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, where are you going from there?
Yeah, and I think we would be not okay, but could kind of understand if this was just because of they had Myles Garrett and this really good defense. But this has happened time and time again, and we're butting up against week 13, basically, week 12 to 13, and we're having some of these fundamental issues continuing to pop up. And what I'll say to that is, yes, you can have a play caller who can help the offensive line and the quarterback out by making sure you can move the pocket at times. We didn't see a lot of that. That the routes are always in a position where you have multiple layers covered, so you can go from deep to middle to short. We didn't see a lot of that versatility in the route combination. Obviously, the offensive linemen have to play better as individuals. That comes down to the position coach, right?
Yeah.
And giving them opportunities to get better once they're seeing things. It was a collection of things that were happening with the offense, and that's one of the reasons why it was so difficult to get it fixed from one week to another.
So now it's up to Greg Olson to try to, quote unquote, fix this, if it's fixable. But at the same time, this is a guy that he likes to run the football.
Yeah.
And I've covered this team long enough to have covered all of his different stints. His first time, he had Darren McFadden as his running back. His second time, he had Josh Jacobs. Now he's got Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
And I guess we could wrap up with this, what does a Greg Olson offense look like so long as the offensive line is better?
Yeah, I think you have to find a way to help this offensive line if they're not pin and pull or duo, they're outside zone. That's the first thing. Find out what these offensive linemen do best and how they can be consistent to help the running game. And I think that's essential. And after that, then it's how do we pair our running back who's shown some flashes of being able to break tackles and have some explosive plays, passing game and running game. How do we kind of pair that up with our great tight end? And I think that's the starting point. And we have some things that can be successful. We just have to find a way to make it work with this offensive line.